After my years of traveling around the world and seeing teachers and seeing how they react in the classrooms, I've also sadly seen how easily teachers classify students as weak students and lazy students, students who need to be punished into learning in some cases, or students who are what we call teachers' pets, who constantly get rewarded for effort or even result, rather. Well, let me tell you that even the students who keep being punished constantly, they also need some reward at some point. Now, these students who keep feeling underestimated in the classroom, or keep feeling stupid constantly, or keep feeling cornered by the teacher, or keep being penalized or whatever, eventually they will lose interest. And even if you're dancing on your head in the classroom through a holographic projector, they will still not be interested. So in that case, it's not the tool that matters, or the technique that the teacher uses, but it's the reward. So we shouldn't be cornering the students. We shouldn't be threatening the students and making the students go into the fight or flight mode. The fight mode, they can become aggressive in classes, and I've seen that in certain countries around the world where where students can even walk inside a classroom and hold a teacher at gunpoint saying, "You're gonna dare give me homework today?" Yes, this situation does exist in certain countries. Or students can simply lose interest and either sleep in the classroom or drop out altogether, mentally or physically, from the classroom. So we need to be sure that somehow we encourage them to learn, and at the same time we use the right techniques to get them interested and the right tools to get them interested in what we have to teach them. Let me give you an example. Let's say that our lesson today has to do about festivals, an exotic festival around the world. There are students who would like to listen to information about a festival. So they might research it on YouTube or watch a video about it or listen to you talking about it, the teacher. There are students who would rather read information about this festival. So they might Google it, or they might read an article in a book or in a magazine about it. There might be students who would prefer to do their own research, either through different types of devices, or I won't even say it encyclopedias anymore, because we do all know that very few students do research on encyclopedias anymore. They might research on magazines about it if the teacher has produced different articles from different magazines and brought them in class. And there are other students who would learn better, or who would, remember information about this festival if they talk to each other about it. So you can see there's a huge variety here that we can use, different techniques, different ways of communicating information to students, and we should use all these different techniques and all these different tools in our classroom so as to cover more students. Just reading a book is not enough. Let's not forget music, drama, art. Let's not forget all the different other ways we can trigger our students' interest in the classroom. Yes, why not start a lesson by playing a piece of music which is connected to the day's lesson? Why not end my lesson by doing a drama activity, recycling material that I've taught them in the day's lesson? Why not? The curriculum is important. Yes, of course, we have to stick to the curriculum. Yes, of course, we have to teach them everything that's included in the curriculum. But the way we teach them what's included in the curriculum is up to us. The way we touch our students' brains and our students' hearts, because learning is a whole body experience. It has to do with their brains, their bodies, and their hearts. That's up to us. How we motivate our students using feelings, using emotions, using creativity, using encouragement in the classroom, using not penalties to the students, but positive reinforcement and positive encouragement. All that is up to us. I know that many teachers are thinking that my students are going to learn English in order to pass exams. My students are going to learn English in order to pass national exams or international exams. Fair enough. I'm not saying that they shouldn't pass exams, but the exams are not the entire purpose that they're learning a language. In order for our students to believe in what they're doing, in order for our students to understand that learning a language is not something that they've been forced to do, they need to understand that language exists in the real world around them and outside of the four walls of the classroom. So I would say that it is a good experience to help the students through not only digital things, but through kinesthetic things, through activities that show them articles or postcards or real life activities, chatting on the internet with other schools from different parts of the world, different activities. That's going to convince our students that the reason why they're learning language is not simply to pass an exam, but to survive in the real world out there where English is used a lot. They want to go on holiday, they want to use English. They might have a tourist here in their country asking them for information. They might have to use English. Depending on their profession later on in their lives, they might have to use English. So English is not simply just to pass an exam, but it's to be used forever in their lives. Of course, sometimes the reason why our students have such misconceptions that language learning is all about testing is because of the teachers. Sorry, dear colleagues, but it is because of us. When our entire life is just about marking them with red marks about fails and passes and fails and passes, that's not just it. For example, we shouldn't underestimate our students. Yes, taking tests is important. Bringing homework and checking the homework is important. But our students can show their progress in many different ways and not just through tests. They can design presentations. They can participate in the classrooms. They can do so many different things to show us what they have achieved so far, and we should take that into account. In fact, we should encourage them to do different things by devising different activities in the classrooms. We should never, ever, ever neglect the different skills and different talents that our students have. There are multiple intelligences. For example, there are students who are excellent presenters, and they might thrive in the idea of preparing a PowerPoint presentation and standing in front of the audience in the class and presenting things. Or, on the other hand, there might be students who are terrified of this idea, and they simply want to hide behind the group and present something as a group effort, maybe. There are other students who prefer to interact, and they might learn better not just by interacting with each other, but by interacting with equipment in the classroom. Or there are students who can show us how many things they've learned by preparing not simply presentations, by conducting research at home or even in school during their breaks, and they might bring us wonderful articles. Don't perceive this as passive work. Research, doing research and finding information, that means reading in English. So this is not necessarily a passive activity. Even if they just print out information from Wikipedia or from other places in Google, they have done research in order to come up with this information. So this means work from their side. There are students who love doing things with their hands, who love creating things, designing projects, 3D models even, in order to show you and explain to you something, doing their own mind maps in order to perceive a grammatical structure and present it to you, the teacher, or even keep it for their own knowledge in order to learn something. There are students who learn through playing. So we should have a lot of games in our classroom, and not only in the classroom. If we can find, we know that children like playing computer games, so if we can find usages of computer games in order to teach them language, why not? Let's use them. We do know that according to research, students learn much more when they're doing actions. So, drama, acting, even in a day-to-day lesson in the classroom. Don't wait until the end of the school year to put up a school performance. No, act out a little small exchange in a dialogue in the day's lesson. Act out an exchange of a situation in your classroom. Do it, make it funny, make it interesting. Make it as simple as what you see in the book, but make them use English and their bodies to interact at the same time. Not simply sit down like this in their desks, or as I've seen in Russia, students just doing simple this, not moving at all from their desks. Make them move a little bit. I'm not saying create chaos in the classroom. No, by far. Classroom management is important. But at the same time, our students should slightly move here and there whenever we want them to, whenever it's necessary, because this movement reoxygenates their brain and it brings them back into the focus of the classroom. It makes them become alive again. At the end of the day, remember, the most important thing is for the students to use language in, and if they can, out of the classroom. Use it as in produce it or take it in. For example, an excellent idea is to make students watch as many English cartoons, films, as they can. Read English books, and not just their course books. Readers, fictional stories, non-fictional stories. Make the students play computer games that have English. Yes, why not? Make the students listen to English music. That is exposure, which is important for them. Read magazines, articles, even on tablets if they want to, wherever they can get their hands onto it. That is exposure, and that is a usage of what they've learned in the classroom. That way, when they see foreigners, they won't freak out. They will go close to the foreigner and they will speak to the foreigners. When they go on holidays or when they live in another country, they will be using the languages. And by the way, I'd like to close this seminar by saying I'm very, very proud of Russian students when I see that every time I go to schools, all of them are queuing up to come and talk to me. That means that your students are so bright, they're so clever, and they're definitely, definitely interested in what they're learning. And they want to use it, even with someone who doesn't speak Russian and goes to the school for the first time. So they want to show off what they've learned, and I'm so happy every time I come and see students in your schools. And that concludes my seminar. Thank you very much for watching me.